what are the major ways office layouts will change as a result of COVID-19?
That's a great question because the office layouts are they are being rearranged, or the thinking about how they're going to be rearranged has been taking place for a few months now. Um, you know, I really think there's going to be a learning process here. So I do see companies starting to set up and get ready for more of that hoteling experience, or that hybrid workplace. So name desk, you're going to the same desk every day. Some of that will probably go away at first, and you're seeing more neighborhood concepts. So for example, I'm in the R&D, section. And so research and development, we've got certain neighborhoods that might get set aside within our buildings for us to go back to. And they're really looked at as these collaboration areas. And so the layouts are going to change. It's not going to be so much of these assigned desks and assigned rooms and whatnot. It's going to mainly be organized by these neighborhood concepts and looked at by capacity, usage, and things like that. And that'll continue to change as people start to return to work and use the offices more.
So that sounds like there's going to be a pretty large shift in employee culture and workplace behaviors. I mean, I'm coming from an office that had a lot of collaboration spaces, and it was an open floor plan. I mean, is that going to be gone? And then how is that going to influence how employees interact with one another once we get out of this?
See, I would think that, the fact that you're coming from an open office with lots of collaboration spaces, I think more offices are going to lean towards that versus more, set cubes and spaces. I think there's going to be more collaboration areas. I think they're going to be set up differently, right? And so you're going to have collaboration areas that capacity and that usage is going to be monitored like it hasn't been before. We're going to be looking at capacities, and I think what you're going to see is more of these workplaces will be evolving. So they'll start looking at like heat maps and utilization and vacancy and occupancy rates of whether it's desk or collaboration area or neighborhoods or rooms. And these are going to be analyzed over months and years. And then these offices and these real estate areas that companies use, they're going to change, whether it's expansion or consolidation, depending on what the usage and utilization of that space looks like.
So as these companies change, what sort of technologies are they going to be leaning on in order to accomplish that?
Well, I think what you're seeing, and we're feeling that as well, is there's a lot more spotlight on the workplace and real estate teams. And so whereas before there was probably the technologies that were being used were a little more, and I hate to use the word legacy, but a lot of the technologies out there were, older and whatnot. And now you're looking for more of these collaborative technologies, things that are more real time, newer workflow engines that can really take a look at usage. People are coming in, what are they doing when they come to the office? Well, how do you measure what people are doing and where they're going when they come into the office? You're looking at software, you're looking at hardware setup, to monitor usage of real estate as well. That's something that really did not get a lot of importance before, I would argue, in the corporate workplace.
So let's break it down. I'm in an office post COVID-19 or reopened office. What does the conference room look like?
So it just depends. I mean, the conference room could look the same. There's just not as many chairs there. The conference room could, instead of a single table being in that conference room, there could be 4 smaller pods set up with chairs that are physically distanced. We're seeing all kinds of permeations to what the conference room used to look like. Some places you might not see a conference room. There might not be a glass wall with a table in there that people go in there to talk. It might be an open floor plan with that table now out in the open that's more spaced out. So it really just depends on what that looks like. And again, I think people are going to do a lot of learning when they first come back to work and they start to look at usage and collaboration areas and desks and neighborhoods. And there's going to be this evolving usage and shift over time.
So what about like break rooms and lunch rooms? I think that's my concern. I don't want to lose my shared coffee machine in my office. Are we seeing the end of those amenities?
I don't know. I doubt we'll see the end, but you might not see the soda machine in the corner where you go, get your own drink. It might be more bring your own beverage to work, whether it's coffee or soda or water. Yeah, I don't know what those shared rooms are going to look like. Like I know they're closed right now, and even as people come back to work, they're probably going to stay closed. Like I can't imagine companies are going to want people to congregate in certain areas, whether it's a break room or a coffee room. And so, what kind of technologies can we help put in place to say, hey, people still need breaks. People still need these things at work. How can we accommodate that with outside food requests, outside catering requests, automated coffee runs? Like, what are some of the things that we can automate or put in front of the employee as we continue to engage with them from a workplace perspective to make sure that they still have that same feeling when they're at work, even though it might not be everyone's in the kitchen at the same time heating up their leftovers or grabbing a soda or coffee.
We also still have to use the bathroom too, and I'm guessing the restrooms are going to be something that a lot of these businesses and facilities are going to have to consider, or there's got to be a consideration there.
Yeah, for sure. And, I've seen some setups around this, and it's like we go out into the world today and the restrooms are different. If like you go to these different places, different areas of the restroom are closed. They're trying to instill physical distancing inside the restroom. I think you're going to see that in the workplace as well. And so there's going to be new protocols. There might be new capacity constraints for the restroom. Only so many people can be in there at a time. And then how is that enforced, or how is that read? Those are another use of technology and protocols that companies are going to have to set up.
So I almost feel guilty putting you on the spot with this one, but considering everything we just talked about, how can companies safely reopen their offices?
That's a huge question, right? Because
no pressure.
There really is a lot of answers here and a ton of directions that we could take that question. I think the number one thing is to safely reopen the office. Corporations, workplace teams, CHROs, CFOs, they really need to look at what can we put in place to engage with that employee, to engage with your employees, and over communicate, over share, and make sure that there's a lot of self-service for coming back to the office, whether it's let me reserve a workplace, let me look at capacity and see, where can I go grab a collaboration area for myself and my team. So, having the technology in place and over communicating with the employees, it's going to be the number one thing to begin to bring employees back to the workplace.